Hello, I'm Tom Wilkinson, and welcome to the Thinking in English podcast, a podcast for intermediate to advanced English learners. Are you feeling blue, crying crocodile tears, or down in the dumps? In this episode of Thinking in English, let's learn some useful idioms and phrases to describe sadness. So make sure you check out my Instagram page, Thinking in English Podcast. The link is in the description and it's full of some great vocabulary content. And make sure you check out my blog, thinkinginenglish.blog, for all of the transcripts for all of my episodes. Last week, I released an episode on idioms to use when you are happy. And as that episode proved to be quite popular, I thought, why not record today's episode on the opposite emotion? Sadness. What makes you sad? There are different levels of sadness, ranging from listening to a sad song, to breaking up with your boyfriend or girlfriend, to the death of a family member. And some of these idioms could help you describe your feelings a little bit more fluently. Make sure you check out last week's episode on happiness. I'll link it in the description. I also have some other idiom-based episodes that you can listen to if you like learning similar phrases. I give more information and context about idioms in those episodes, so I won't repeat any of that information here. Instead, let's get straight into today's sadness idioms. To feel blue. If you feel blue, you are feeling depressed. In English, the color blue is often associated with the feeling of sadness, and this is reflected in this idiom. In fact, the link between blue and sadness has existed for nearly 800 years. This might not be the same in your language, so reach out to me on Instagram and let me know what color sadness is in your country. To feel blue is used as a synonym for sad, somber, and glum. Other blue-related idioms that are also used for sadness include the blue funk and to have the blues. For example, I was feeling blue earlier today, but after taking a long walk, I feel much better. To be down in the dumps. If you feel sad or depressed, and especially if it is visible to others, you can use the phrase down in the dumps. Around 500 years ago, the word dump had the meaning of depression. And now down in the dumps is the only surviving usage in this context. You can also describe a business or economy as in the dumps if it is performing badly. For example, Jim is down in the dumps today because he broke up with his girlfriend last night. To cry crocodile tears. The previous two idioms have described when you are actually depressed. However, what about if you are just pretending to be sad? If you're not really sad? Well, then we can say you are crying crocodile tears. To cry crocodile tears means to pretend to be sad. It is a false and insincere show of sadness or remorse. The idiom comes from an ancient belief that crocodiles would weep while eating their prey. This is not actually true, but crocodile tears has now entered the English language. For example, the boy cried crocodile tears after fighting with his sister. To have a lump in one's throat. Sometimes, when you are trying not to cry, it feels as though there is something in your throat. a tight, constricted feeling. So the idiom to have a lump in your throat is used when you have the feeling that you are going to cry. It is particularly used when you are unable to speak due to sadness, anxiety, or another strong negative emotion. For example, every time I watch the movie Gladiator, I get a lump in my throat. To fall apart. To fall apart. If you are falling apart, you break down emotionally. To fall apart means to become very emotional, especially with sadness or grief. This is maybe the strongest sad idiom so far. It is similar to the idiom to fall to pieces. Both phrases are used for really strong emotional reactions. For example, after Sarah's husband died, she fell apart. To take something hard. If you take something hard, someone's feelings are affected in a negative way. It is used to mean very upset by. The something is replaced by the event which affected you negatively and made you sad in the first place. Another idiom used to mean to affect someone or something in a negative way is to hit someone hard. However, this is often used in the passive. For example, I took it hard when I was rejected from my dream job. To feel out of sorts. If you feel out of sorts, you are feeling unhappy. You are in an irritable, grouchy, or unhappy mood. It is also used in a situation when you feel unwell or displeased. Another very similar idiom, common especially in British English, is to be out of sorts. For example, I think something is wrong with John, as it seems as though he feels out of sorts. To be bummed out. Although most idioms tend to be informal, this one is likely the most informal of all of the ones I introduced today. If you are bummed out, you are sad or discouraged by something. There are actually a few different variations of this idiom. For example, the phrasal verb to bum out and the shortened version, bummed. These idioms are particularly connected to the feeling of discouragement and often used after getting bad news or missing out on a good opportunity. For example, my son is really bummed out after hearing his favorite band is breaking up. So those are a few of my favorite sadness idioms. Perhaps you can use them the next time you want to describe your negative emotions or someone else's negative emotions. Which was your favorite that I introduced today? And do you know any other idioms that you can use when you are feeling sad? Reach out on Instagram and let me know. Thank you for listening to today's episode. If you enjoyed it, please leave a review or rating, recommend it to your friends, or let me know on Instagram. My Instagram is thinkinginenglishpod. The link should be in the description. And make sure you check out the Thinking in English blog. I love hearing from listeners, and I really appreciate all of the messages I have received over the past few months. Feel free to send me a message or give me some advice or recommend a topic. Have a great day, and I'll see you next time.